Hey, everybody, we're here for a new episode of the show that has yet to be named, The Batman. Full spoiler talk with the Puttyman. He's Batman's cousin, and JD, Batman's uncle, and me, just some guy that lives here. And let's just get right into this. I don't want to waste any time. I want to talk about the Man Bats. I don't know what Putty is doing, but it's getting scary.
I wish Man Bat were in this movie. That would have been great.
That would have been too much, I think. He emerged from the darkness, from the shadows. Yeah. What are you doing?
Right.
Making it entertaining.
I just realized Putty's lighting is off.
Because he's playing around with it.
Okay.
So anyways, let's get back into this, okay? Batman's important.
Yes.
Anyone want to start here?
Well, sure. Since this is
Go ahead. No, go.
Okay. So when I was breaking down everything I've noticed when it comes to like comics I've read, and I noticed other people did the same thing. I'm noticing, like you said, a lot of hints from other comics. Like, for example, let's look, and again, this being spoiler, I'm just going to go and throw it out there. The chemistry between Bruce Wayne and Jim Gordon, it feels like they're in between year one and year two, where they established that relationship, but it's showing signs where there could be like the problem that they end up having in the year two with the Reaper and everything. But then even like with Falcone and the Long Halloween storyline, and then of course Hush was even like hinted with the Riddler. There's so many storylines it feels like they're pulling from the Batman comics that are all more of the darker ones, I should say, but are lineages to other characters that are introduced, but they're hinting at. Then, because like for example, Hush being Riddler's story anyway, where he's in the darkness trying to sabotage Batman. Kind of the same thing.
He's in prison trying to run a scheme from prison, which I think that's the way they're going to go, because he's in prison right now. And I think that's the next film. Yes, they tease the major, the biggest name there is in Batman comics with the Joker, but like I don't think the Joker's even going to be
coming in the next movie.
And see, I hate that they emphasize that the Joker was the one that gave him the riddle me this line. That kind of frustrated me more than anything, because like when I heard it, I was like, really? Like it feels like it was kind of shoehorned in there.
But you see, sense? Like this is something I'll give you, in the sense that DC, especially the way they're going nowadays, and Batman in general, that was an Easter egg, because they don't want to say riddle me this. That the whole point is that it's not like Marvel, where they're like, oh, this is where the catchphrase comes from, and then every time you watch the movie after, that keeps happening. Like the point is that like DC doesn't, like, especially with this, I don't think they want to do that. I think that was just there at the end just to be like, hey, look,
be a nod.
But that's my problem. Like it feels like the Easter eggs they put in here, outside of what I see when it comes beyond the comics, but little things like that, like, oh, it's an Easter egg. That's not an Easter egg. He said it so many times in his past that when you hear something like that, it's more of an Easter egg for the common folk and not for like the diehard fans. You know what I mean?
I think that's more of an Easter egg for the Batman 66 fans.
66, yeah.
But a lot of people know he said,
and we said that too. There's a
lot of them.
The utility belt.
The utility belt, the woman, I can't remember her name. Shakespeare bust. There was a lot of references to that. There's also a lot of little things referencing Batman.
Even the way with the Batmobile, the turbine at the end when it shoots the flame out, it's very reminiscent of the
true.
But there's a lot of that. Like we said, the Batman Returns references, the score for Catwoman with the wee, that like string sound, that's right out of Batman Returns for Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman.
Mm-hmm.
The gothicness of his house is like it's Tim Burton to the maximum.
Yeah.
There's a lot
his
of
house looks like the church from the end of Batman from '89.
There's a very like big cross between the Nolan movies and the Burton movies here, and it's almost done. I think intentionally to like pay respects to like those movies. You could see a lot of it, a lot of inspiration from those, a lot of nods to that. Batman Year 2, Hush. Long Halloween, zero year, and what was the other one we kept saying?
0 year.
Oh, there's a lot of owls references.
Yeah,
the corruption, the underground
even
corruption is straight up.
Even
owls.
the first card that the Riddler sends,
it has
the first card that has the owl on it.
See, another thing too is I'm happy that they did the relationship between the father and daughter relationship that would never really been established in the movies prior with Selena Kyle and Carmine,
because it's not officially canon.
Well, okay, but my point whole thing is there's a lot of those little things that in the comics, like the Arkham family. We always hear about the Wayne family, but the Arkham family has never been hinted until now, which I feel like we're going to go deeper into, and we're finally get Arkham Asylum built, that kind of thing.
In movie, television media, yes, I agree. But the Arkhams play a huge part of the corruption in the Court of the Owls. Where they discover that they've been doing horrible things for years.
It was City of Owls, Campo. That was the other book we were thinking of.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's one point, which is pointing to that. Because think about this: they talk about Blackgate, and then they never mention the real whole thing with Arkham until they start bringing up the Arkham family. And I was kind of glad to hear that they're mentioning stuff that they weren't pushed for, which means Court of Owls definitely has a huge possibility of being in the later movies. And I'm glad that they're doing that. But that's my whole point: is that it feels like they're cramming a lot, and they're trying to sidetrack you and not let you, because again, with Hush, with Long Halloween, all these things, it's like, where is it setting up for? What are we going into outside of the flooding and the things of nature? Does that make sense? I don't know where they're trying to.
I think so. What I think is going to happen. I'm sorry to cut you off, JD, but so what's his name? Thomas Elliott. Is that what it is?
Yes.
I think
Thomas Elliott is Hush.
They're going to do Hush. The next storyline is going to be Hush, and it's going to be done differently than Hush, where he is going to be an owl. And because in Court of the Owls, doesn't Thomas Elliott have something to do with the owls? Isn't there something deeper where was one of them?
One of the family, his family was a member of the court.
I think that's how it's going to
along with the Arkhams, and there was another. I forgot the other family, but the Arkhams were part of that as well.
They're going to stay heavily in the mystery aspects here, which those stay in that category. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm being so serious if we never get Joker, or if he just makes an appearance, because in Hush he makes an appearance. But I don't think he wants to retread that. If he does, fine. I can't see it not working. I feel like they fully are an understanding of how to tell this world story.
Whereas I want to see where they're going with this Penguin storyline now that he's taken over the city.
Yeah, which that's
I'd
also
love
something
to see
really
that.
well. Detective Comics Volume 2 or Volume 1 with the Penguin in New 52. That was a great run of Penguin.
Yeah, it was a great run.
By the way, who didn't love the first Waddle? When I saw him bound and you actually see him waddle for the first time.
He's waddling.
Yeah, that was literally the first waddle. There were little things like that I did love. For example, the first time Batman does the disappearing a moment to Jim Gordon for the first time, and he's looking around. There's little things like that.
This is a thing though, where they didn't give you that at the beginning in a way that it was maybe this is too. And in my head, this is how I'm perceiving it. This is too far-fetched in real life to just be able to disappear with nobody knowing that you're disappearing. But then he does it to Gordon, and then it happens 4 more times after that.
Once it's done, they do it all the time.
They were look, we found a way to slip it in. How did he get out of that room without making noise? Are you fucking kidding me?
He did it the way, I can't think of the name of the comedian, but he did it in the way where he basically disappears, but then he's behind the table.
Yeah, it was exactly, because they establish at the very start of the movie that Batman makes a lot of noise.
I can see you're literally behind the table.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I really liked a lot of this movie. There's so much good in it. The Robin stuff got a little bit hectic because they just kept showing him and that kid. It happens 4 times in that movie.
I was wondering about that, and I was like, is that really going to be Dick Grayson? Is that
that's not going to be Dick Grayson, but that's going to be Robin.
They're not going to Dick Grayson this. They're just going to give him a Robin, and it's going to be that kid. It's not going to be until the 3rd movie.
But see, that's kind of the whole situation. I was so mad about the way they shoehorned Robin into The Dark Knight Rises, the way that just felt so uncomfortable, and I feel like that's going to happen here as well.
But that one, I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, but I feel like Nolan did that as an Easter egg and not as he's going to be Robin. The fact that his name was Robin was just a nod to what it was.
But see, remember, he still walks into the Batcave like he's
but to be
over.
Batman.
Well, no, but he could also be Nightwing. You know what I mean? They could have been doing a Nightwing thing if they wanted.
Well, they didn't do anything. So,
well, no, I know. But
the thing is, he did that because he knew it was going to be a trilogy and done. He wanted out after 3 movies, Nolan. So he just said, you know what? Let's just throw this in for the hardcore.
Apparently, I did read this that they were pressuring him to put Robin in it. So his way of beating around that was just naming that character Robin.
And that's what kind of made me mad because that felt like you can tell.
But that's Warner Brothers, the way that they get involved and they get in the way sometimes of what's happening.
I call that moment because I was always wondering that, and now that you told me that I was correct. That's another Venom situation when it came to Spider-Man 3, where they were like, we have to get this in here. So he found a way to do it. Yeah. But it's like a lot of the fans are probably like myself at least. I was like, dude, that's stupid. Like that was probably like you really ruined a great movie by adding.
Not only that, just like on that same note, Topher Grace was absolutely terrible in that movie.
He was atrocious. You cannot put Topher Grace on the same level as
even emo Peter Parker was better than anything that Topher Grace did in that movie.
Well, no, I'm not. Again, I'm not still saying that that movie was. I'm not comparing movies.
No, but I'm saying my point is that they forced him to put it in the movie, and look how bad it turned out because they did that. Like they could have, if you remove that whole element and the movie was more about the relationship between Peter and Harry, holy crap, that could have been an excellent movie.
Former best friends start to he finds out he's Spider-Man even though he blames
Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
If you made it so Peter got the black suit in that movie, you kept all of that stuff in, even the cheesy parts, but it made it so at the movie the Venom just leaves him and you don't know where it's going. And then the 4th movie could have been like.
But that's my point.
A Matt Gannon Venom when he jumps on Scorpion or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, see, that's my point. But Dark Knight Rises, the whole movie's good, but I feel, at least in my opinion, when they reveal when he goes where she's like, you should have stuck with your real name, Robin. That's when I felt like, okay, this feels like a shoehorned. I don't like it.
It was shoehorned completely. Nolan even said that it was shoehorned.
But that's my point. After that, it feels like the movie loses something from me. You know what I mean? And that's why it kind of lost points for me compared to Dark Knight or some other Batman movies. Don't get me wrong, the movie's still good. It's just that's what I'm saying. When you shoehorn something, it depends on how long you keep it in there. Unfortunately for Spider-Man 3, they kept the whole Venom thing in there longer than it being like right at the end. They kept that whole black suit symbiote through the whole thing. That's what I'm afraid of is they're trying to shoehorn Robin again because Warner Brothers is saying it. So he's trying to find a way to throw it in there so that later he can throw the kid into
they even threw in that red herring with the actor who plays Tim Drake.
Yes,
on
that's
Titans.
what I was going to say. So, Putty, at the very beginning of the movie, the guy whose face is half painted and they try to get him to kill the guy on the subway, he is Robin in Titans. And I think that the reasoning for casting him in that specific role was to throw people off. Like, he might have just tried out for it, but I think Warner Brothers would know that he was playing Tim Drake in Titans.
Tim Drake.
And I think it was purposely done just to be red herring right in your face right away. Or maybe that kid is going to come back and he's actually going to be the Robin and the little kid thing is the red herring.
Either way, it's still one of those things that I feel like if Warner Brothers
Sorry, go.
When it comes to Batman, if there's a plausible reason to bring in Robin, do it, but do it in a way because every single time in my eyes, but that's my whole point. Every single time they bring in Robin, it feels so uncomfortable. Am I wrong? Like Batman and Robin.
It's like the whole. It's like to go with another franchise. It's like the whole Star Wars situation. Obi-Wan is reluctant to train Anakin, and this could be a same situation where Bruce is reluctant to take in an orphan child.
Well, he had the high ground, so
yeah. Well, it was supposed to be brothers, Anakin.
You were supposed to be the chosen one. Anyway, but that's my point. I love Batman when they don't shoehorn Robin in, as long as and if they do put Robin in, I want it to work with the story, and it never has seemed to work in my eyes. Like Chris O'Donnell was a fine actor and okay Robin
in Vertical Limit.
Yeah. But my point
talking about that yesterday.
But my point is, there's never ever been a substantial Batman movie where Robin was put in and it felt right. Am I right or wrong?
Okay, you know what?
I'll be honest. I've never liked the character of Robin at all. I prefer the character. Well, Tim Drake, Robin with the Titans, I like, but I don't like Robin with Batman.
I don't mind any of the Robins with the Titans. I don't mind Robin with Batman, but it has to be handled well. Like I think the dynamic between Damian and Bruce in the New 52 things worked really well because he was equally as strong and skilled as like the adults as a child, and he was raised by like an outlaw, so his attitude was like, I'll just do whatever the hell I want. And then, not to mention, you're with Batman, who doesn't have time for you ever and doesn't want you to go. You're just gonna
exactly.
But, I mean, the Robin thing doesn't bother me. I would rather they stay away from it. But if they do it, that's fine. Just do it properly. Don't make it Marlon Wayne.
Or just go straight in and just go straight in with Nightwing.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it however you want. But it's still so early on. It's year 2. Where in the Batman lore, he's not even going to have Robin for like another 5 years.
Probably the last movie, if they even put him in, it'll probably be the last movie of the trilogy.
I think there's going to be, in my opinion, the way that it's going to happen if they do it. I know we're getting way too like off topic and talking about doo-doo, but like so far ahead. But I think somewhere in the 3rd movie, he's going to have the kid. He'll train them. They'll not be a Robin, okay? They will be nothing. And then Batman's going to get into trouble, and he's going to come in like a bat suit to save Batman or something, right? I don't know. Who knows? That doesn't even matter.
I honestly think they're building for more than a trilogy, though. With everybody cast in this movie, because everybody that they cast in this movie, Robert Pattinson, okay, yeah, he's only mid-30s. Like he's still young.
Yeah,
like he could do another 10 years in this role.
There's going to be a lot more Catwoman. I promise you that.
Well,
she might even get a spin-off film.
We know Penguin is getting a show. We know there's a rumored second show that nobody knows what it is yet. And I think it works.
I'm going to put this out there because I saw an interview with Michael Keaton. And it was on the Jimmy Kimmel show. And he actually stated that, he was talking about, yes, I am shooting the Flashpoint movie or Flash movie with me in it, that Ben Affleck Batman is going to be there. He didn't know or wasn't allowed to say if the George Clooney Batman was going to be there. And then he asked him like about, is there the Batmans? He goes, oh, and he makes jokes. Oh, there's other Batmans. Here's my thing. I don't want it to happen. And I know they said it's not going to happen, but they've been telling people to lie just like they do in Marvel World. My thing is I'm wondering if they're going to push the whole Pattinson thing too as another universe Batman in that Flash movie.
When he says there's other Batmans, I honestly think it's Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne. Batman.
It's going to be that because it will fall in line with the Flashpoint.
But see, what you understand is Ben Affleck is in it. He stated,
but Ben Affleck is in it because
he's the DCEU Batman.
He's the DCEU Batman, exactly. And this is where the fray is going to happen in the timelines. Where we're going to lose Ben Affleck Batman is going to happen because of this timeline split and whatever's going to happen.
Because Matt Reeves even said it. He goes, this film and this series of films is a completely different. It's still Warner Brothers, but it's on a different entity.
He wants it to be like the Nolan movies.
No, I get that he does, but you have to also understand. And Warner Brothers could be signed to Warner Brothers to deny that it's going to appear no matter what.
Robert Pattinson is not going to be in this movie. If that's
he won't.
I'm not.
It would be like Joaquin Phoenix showing up as the Joker.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen either.
It's Warner Brothers. Like they screw up so many things. I mean, you never know. Like there's already talks that. Remember how we were talking our casting? Apparently, there's also talks that there's going to be the Willem Dafoe Joker happening within another Joker movie. He wants to do it with the
He wants to do it. There's zero rumors of it happening. He mentioned on the talk
Willem
show
Dafoe said it in an interview that I would love to do it. Yes, that's all that was ever said.
Okay.
Well, no, but like we're not saying that to like prove you wrong, but I'm saying there's no talk of this like he's on shoots for anything. He just said he'd like to do it. Yeah. I will absolutely allow that. If that happened, I would never be upset. I would never be upset about that. So they could do that. Go ahead.
If there's a Dark Knight, if there's a Dark Knight comic based on old Batman and Willem Dafoe's an old Joker, I'm not going to say no to that.
If you do the 3 Jokers and you have the blessing of the 3 wise men of this podcast to go ahead and do that.
I'm just saying,
which one's the comedian, which one's the criminal, and which one's the psychopath?
I'm just all of them. All I'm saying is I'm just putting them all on the table. I'm not saying that it is happening. I'm just saying the way it's sounding, it's a possibility if they're doing the same thing they did with the Spider-Man movies. And they're like, oh, because the thing is, he actually said to Kimmel, he's coming back as the Ultra, which we already know this because of Morbius. You know what I mean? But Like he said that outright there, but
but he's coming back to the Vulture. How do you know the Vulture isn't Michael Keaton in every version of in the MCU?
Okay, look, you want a perfect example of what this is? When you're looking at like the Spider-Man movies and then where the MCU is, okay? That's like looking at the George Clooney, Val Kilmer, Michael Keaton Batman, and then the DCU. Christian Bale is not going to be Batman in this movie, just like Robert Pattinson is not going to be in this movie. These are outside of the universe.
Yeah,
I know, but I'm saying if it happens, like, how would you feel about it no matter what?
I would be very upset about it. I feel like it would
keep it as a separate thing.
It would take away so much from the quality of what Matt Reeves did with this movie if they did that.
Yeah,
it would be like spitting in the face.
Matt Reeves even said he'd like to keep this separate, and I think Warner Brothers will allow that because of the overwhelming success.
It's just like Joaquin Phoenix wouldn't. I don't feel like he would ever agree to that because it's like he's here to take these characters in an artistic way. He's not here to make superhero movies, right? And like if you look at this Batman movie, it's very little of a superhero movie.
Oh, I agree. That's why I love it.
And go ahead.
Well, that's what just to go back to what you just said, just real quickly. The one thing that I pointed out before, and I didn't get a chance to say it because we didn't want to go into spoilers in the last video, was when we were talking about the grounded. I'm starting to realize you guys are right when it comes to the Batmobile looking more like the old 70s. But my thing is I like simple things like the glider. When he used the glider wasn't like one you see in the regular movies because a lot of people say that's hard to make possible. But the glider he used is real gliders any person can go and buy right now, which are those, like those flying gliders they use.
I'm not going to credit a billionaire superhero for having a glider. Like he should have had that.
No, that's
Ben Affleck said it. What's your superpower? Money.
Yeah, exactly. But that's my point, though. That's what I loved about this movie was because they took things that are real in the world. It wasn't something he could personally make. He made it and customized it his own, but it was still something that if you have the money, you could go and buy it now in real life. It's not like something like.
But that's my point. If it's. I don't know why you're so surprised about it. Like I'm kind of confused.
Well, no, my point is that's what I'm trying to say. Praises about this movie. You know what I mean? Is that the other Batman movies are always still going to try to go a little more spectacle, a little more the superhero, even though the Christopher Nolan ones did have a grounding issue. Still like the Batmobile. It's a big hulking army machine.
Yeah, but it was. That's what I mean. That was realistic. That was a literal tank that existed. And
right, I understand it existed, but my point is I don't.
If you're a billionaire, you can afford one.
You can afford one.
Plus, you designed it. It's Wayne Tech Industries.
But my point is also under the radar. If you're looking at like corporate and all that kind of thing, and you're running a business, when you see money going through that car, the car in this movie has a little more sense of being understandable. That the guy bought outside of buying that. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you see the Batmobile. Like you see what I'm saying? Like basically his purchases seem more normal, and then normal. Where like if he buys a glider that looks like that. He's just the guy that looks like do crazy stunts. It's not Batman. Does that make sense? Like that's what I'm trying to say.
But like this is what I'm trying to say. That I understand what you're telling us, but we're also trying to tell you that like the Nolan things did the same stuff. He just all of his gear was military based. It was all stuff that existed. He bought the military hangar, but he's a billionaire that works in selling arms as part of his thing. Like not like weapons,
like Tony Stark.
Like Tony Stark, you would have access to this. That's how you have it. I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong, but I'm saying that that's why it's like that. In comparison to like the Bat credit card or like shark repellent, that's like ridiculous stuff, right?
Well, no, I agree. But you see what I'm saying? Like I feel like this has more grounded than any other movie. Is what I'm trying to say, basically.
But then, like I said, you keep bringing up the glider suit. When you look at some of his other things, they're very impractical. A lot of the other little things he has. And it's kind of like, I get it and I don't get it. And I mean, it works. I love how he has the, those are like electrocuting thing on his arm. I thought that was really cool. I think this movie excels in the character development. I think this movie excels in its acting. I think every little character, every little bit part was so well acted. We talked about the chief of police guy with that voice was like, and then every little guy was so on point.
The guy you thought was going to have a bigger role in Inspector or Commissioner Savage, who gets killed within like the first 20 minutes of the movie, Like he played his part. Yeah, you're only gonna have 20 minutes, but you're gonna have
by the way, we were convinced it was Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Well, that was the one thing. The whole we praised the whole Colin Farrell in this spoiler-free review, and that's because every time I still look at it by pictures when I was watching the theaters, the thing was like he doesn't look like Colin Farrell. And that is one of those things that to this day, like you can say it's another actor and probably would still people would believe you. That's how well done that makeup.
He's a perfect cross. I thought about this, by the way. He's a perfect cross of Joe Pesci in Goodfellas and Al Pacino in The Irishman. Like just like a violent, loud, screaming Italian guy that's just like off his rocker. And like I'm still convinced. If this movie was made in the early 90s, Al Pacino's character in Dick Tracy would have been the Penguin.
Would have been the Penguin.
And it's like he's so spot on with the way that he talks and his facial expressions. It's crazy. Like even John Turturro was great. Like the acting in this is amazing. Just like spot on all the way through. I know you don't really like Alfred.
Can we talk about how it's two Englishmen that are playing two of America's greatest icons in the Penguin and Batman?
Yeah. I mean, there's some good going on, right? And even Barry Keogh, I believe he's Irish or Scottish, and he's playing the Joker. Well, he's behind a little scene, but I mean, it is what it is. The humanizing of Batman in a sense that not like humanizing him like where people empathize with him as an actual human being, but
no, he's more vulnerable.
The way that he's more vulnerable, but people see that the good in him and they believe in him as the protector of the city. And you see it at the end of the movie how he stayed there and helped.
Yeah, when he's trying to help the people, he reaches out his hand.
Exactly. If you watch the early stuff, Tim Burton, whatever, Batman is treated like a criminal. Okay. And then when you see it in the Nolan movies, he's not really treated as a criminal as much. Like the younger generation, like you see the kid, they have hope for him, but the government officials, they don't want him around. Like they
make them look bad.
Yeah, he makes them look bad. Where this movie was like they were so willing to just work with him, and then you see him with the people and like the way everyone felt about him. They were so thankful. That's the number one scene for me in this whole movie is him walking with the flare, guiding all the people across the water. And I was like, that's where I got like chills, and I was like, that's Batman. That's what Batman does.
Well, that before
it humanizes him almost in a way.
Before even that moment, even though that flare part is great, it's literally the moment right before that flare point where everyone is hesitant to grab his hand when he's trying to get him out of the water.
Robin.
Except
Robin.
Well, I love how you anyway. Except the kid. The kid literally reaches out, and it's because the kid has that past with him. You know what I mean? Or well, actually, I don't know. But yeah, it has that past with him. With seeing him several times, and so he was like, okay, this guy's actually here to help. If he was evil, he would have the opportunity before. So the kid sees this, which gives the opportunity to just go, well, if this kid's not afraid, okay, clearly he didn't hurt the kid.
It was so convenient that child was in every one of those scenes. But listen, we both, and I don't know if you even remember this, as soon as the hand came out, out loud, both of us were like, Robin.
Both of us in the theater at the same time were like, Robin.
Kid. We didn't even see the kid. We just saw the hand and we were like, Robin, because we already established, like, by whispering to each other every time the kid was on screen, we're like, this is going to be Robin. Just the eye contact when he sees the kid in the house after Riddler kills his dad. I was like, the long
and then again at
I was like,
the
that's
funeral.
Gonna be Robin. I was like, that is going to be Robin.
I just realized what Warner Brothers did. They full forced gave us the kid dressed as Iron Man becoming Peter Parker, but they forced it so much in your face in this movie because it feels just like that moment where you saw that kid and they're like, that's Peter Parker later down the road when he's like in an Iron Man movie. This feels like that, but it's more like, oh no, by the way, we're going to make sure you know what's happening instead of making it like an Easter egg that later gets revealed. No, it's like, no. See, he's still here.
But like we said, there's a lot of things in this that seem like they're doing it just to make you think that's what's going to happen. Like, what did you call JD when he stabs himself in the leg with the green venom and gives himself the energy?
Yeah, I thought it was the Bane. I thought it was the Venom formula, the Titan formula for Bane.
There's a lot of small hints here at things that they want you to think are coming, but are never going to come. Like I said, I won't even be surprised if the Joker never shows up. if that was just a scene to be like, screw you guys, you're not getting Joker.
I would love that. I would love that more than having the Joker.
I think so too. I would love the idea. I love the idea of the Joker more than the Joker. You know, where
the fact that he exists in the universe, but you never see him really.
What the movie Role Models, where he's like, I'm gonna run a train on these chicken fingers. He's like, yeah, you can get a Coke too. He's like, I like the idea of Coke more than I like drinking it.
I'm calling it now. All right. We're gonna see in the next movie or the third movie a headline talking about the old Joker incident at the talk show, and it's going to be the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, and that's going to be canon to this same world, but it's just years back before this world existed, and those Waynes that died are the same ones.
I love the uprising of Penguin as well when he pulled up the gun to shoot him, and I told you that it made it feel like maybe this whole time he's really been running behind
pulling the strings from behind.
He thought that he was the one in charge, but really he hasn't been in charge this whole time.
Yeah, but also by Riddler killing Falcone, it inadvertently led to the chaos of the power vacuum at the top of the crime
because
syndicate in the city.
Maroni's syndicate is down because he's in jail and Falcone is dead. So the Falcones are the most powerful family right now, and Penguin is at the head of it.
And it's chaos, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he has the Iceberg Club and the 44 Below. That was a double good reference. I'm going to give them that.
To the Arkham games.
Yeah, and they didn't make it feel cheesy either.
No, it's like, it's the Penguin, the Iceberg Lounge.
The thing I don't like was like the addition of drop heads. They should have just said they're doing coke or something. You know what I mean? Like they should have made it a realistic drug rather than just making something up.
I think because it was rated PG-13, they can't make it a realistic drug.
That's what I was gonna say. But it would have helped.
Like, can we talk about how Matt Reeves is a huge Halloween fan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that scene in the mayor's house. That's shot for shot Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think he just likes Halloween in general. Because remember, think about it. Because I was talking about Long Halloween, they literally had to go out of their way to reference the first murder that happened, and him being there, and the cops behind him, and goes, "This is the day you love, right? Halloween." Like the cop literally had to point out, like why did that have to be pointed out? And it feels like they wanted to make any type of Halloween reference, whether it be Halloween the movie. Like there's just something that
there's also a kind of like. I can't think of what it was. I was struggling with it all night. When the guy robs the corner store with that mask on, and then he's out in the street, and the way the light keeps like flashing on him, and then he looks in the dark alley, that's right out of something. And I can't put my finger on what it is, but that scene is absolutely from something.
Say it again. What scene?
When the guy robs the
variety store.
Oh,
the guy with the green drop head.
Yes, I was wondering about that too, and I can't remember. I've seen that face in that mask.
It's right out of something, because even the part where when the cab almost hits him, and then you see the light flicker, and then he looks into the darkness. That's right out of something.
So see, here's the thing. I'm glad you guys brought that up, because when I was doing my research for my when I was doing my research, I was looking up, and every time I see something and go, this has got to be a reference to it. That one scene was one, but then every single keyword I looked up online for Google, because I didn't know what it's from. I was hoping you guys would reference that, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I was hoping you guys knew. It looks so familiar, like that mask and everything. But I can't find it. I've tried every single keyword.
I want to say it's from the movie Trick or Treat, but I can't.
It does look like what's his name? Yeah. Sam.
I feel like it's from a horror movie where that guy's not the killer, but they have that mask on, and then Michael Myers or whoever kills them.
It could be, but the problem is I feel like I've seen it in a comic book.
I mean, that's possible, right? It's like someone.
But I know, like you're saying, Campo, I know I've seen that in a movie.
Someone let us know in the comments. Somebody must know this.
Let us know how wrong we are.
Yeah, I want to be wrong, and if it's in a comic book, I want to know, because I know I've seen it, and even if I've not read the comic, we're just went by it anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, listen, everything about this movie is really well done. I do take issue with some of the small things like the hand holding. I think the story tries to pull itself in too many directions at sometimes to create smaller storylines that don't go anywhere. I think there's an over-reliance.
Suffers from third act drag too.
Yes, and the finale is one of the weakest finales ever in a Batman movie. That final get-together Riddler shit was so dumb. I was like, I almost fell asleep. I was like, what am I watching?
I do want to point this out. I just hope this is actually a road to new characters. I would like to see some Batman characters that have never been in film.
I want the fucking owls. Give me the
owls. I think that's what it's going to lead to. I think it's going to lead to the owls.
If you could bring up two perfect storylines that fall into the type of the way that he's making these movies, it's easily Hush and then the owls. And it's so perfectly done because they're both similar to the way this movie is. And it's funny, we were talking about this too. Everyone complained about Joker, the movie Joker, and like incels. He's the definition of an incel. What's his name?
Riddler.
Paul
Dano. Yeah.
And it was a perfect play on, you see how there was like the riots and they were like, no more lies. It's a perfect reference to how everybody was with COVID and all the stuff that happened, and where people were so willing to jump on the bandwagon of anybody who told them what they wanted to hear. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, you don't even know you're supporting literally a murderer who's going around and murdering people because you just like what he's doing. And it's like, people just don't think sometimes. There was a lot of little slip-in references like that, but we're going to run out of time. And it's worth a watch. It's not perfect. It's one of the better superhero movies. It's one of the better Batman movies, but it is not the best. And
top 3.
But it did a great job giving us the universe. Can I give you one thing, actually? You know what the thing I didn't like the most was? I just remembered this. How many friggin' times they ended up where the bat signal was. How many times did I need to see that place? 30 fucking times? I had to be in that on top of that building. In like 10 minutes, they go up there like 5 times.
It was one of the first things mentioned in the movie anyway. Remember, he's like, we got a bat signal. Okay.
Yeah, everybody knows where this elevator is. This building never gets finished. It's just had a bat signal in it forever.
It's like that building in GTA 5 that never gets finished.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, anyways, we're gonna run out of time. Thank you for watching. Let us know what you thought in the comments. Try and solve out the mask thing for us. Check out their channels and peace out.